of the concepts you learn about in the civil justice system is representative proceedings. They're usually called class actions, and you're probably familiar with that term. This is where a lot of people are the plaintiffs, namely 7 or more. 7 or more people, and it must be that number, at least 7, are initiating the same claim against the same defendant. The same person is their enemy, okay? The same company is their enemy. Um, but there are criteria that needs to be met. So the circumstances for all of these plaintiffs, in order for them to have their case tried as one case rather than 7, however many there are, they must have the same loss. They must have suffered the exact same loss as a result of the defendant's actions. So, for example, the same amount of money they've lost, each of them. They must have the same defendant, the same or very similar facts of the case. Okay? And the same law must need to be applied to decide the case. Only then can they be brought together and tried as one case where there will be a lead plaintiff. Basically, only one plaintiff really needs to go to the proceedings, and whatever the outcome is of their case, that outcome applies to everyone in the plaintiff group. So if that plaintiff, that lead plaintiff, is successful and a certain amount of damages or money is awarded and the defendant is found to be liable, responsible for the harm, then all of that money will be shared, all of those damages will be shared amongst the plaintiff group. Okay. So why do we do this? Obviously, you can already tell this would save a lot of time and money for all of the plaintiffs, especially, and it usually is, claims for a very small amount of money by a lot of people. A large company charges a bunch of people $100 for a service they didn't pay for. Would anyone go to court for that by themselves? But if 1,000 people are going, they may go as a class action, okay? So let's see how individuals and courts benefit. So the plaintiff group's members, all the people initiating a claim together, can share the cost. Otherwise, it may be unaffordable, especially if it's been little harm they've suffered from. It's a more efficient way of court dealings. It helps to save courts time, reduce backlogs and costs for the courts, as well as for the plaintiff group. People can pursue civil action they may not be able to afford on their own, enabling access, because now these costs are shared. And they may even get funding, increasing access even further due to a litigation funder or a law firm deciding to back and fund this class action. So these usually say, if you let me take on your case and pay for everything for you, if you are successful and the defendant is found liable, as payment, you will have to give a percentage of the damages or the money that you win in this civil trial, okay? But if you lose, you don't owe us anything. So that's how it usually happens. They take some risk in funding these class actions, but they can get a very large amount of money if they're successful by funding the class action. So they'll say, we'll give you free legal representation, we'll fund your filing fees to initiate the claims and such. So for the individual, imagine you are just a member of that plaintiff group. How do you benefit? You're able to pursue a case that you otherwise might not have been able to afford to pursue. So we said it increases access. Those large corporate law firms or litigation funders might take on the class actions also for free, so it doesn't cost you anything, or at minimal cost to the plaintiffs. The disadvantages are, as we said, only the lead plaintiff actually goes to court, and there's just one case really. So they select a lead plaintiff, and that party has to go to court and deal with everything. So that means a plaintiff may feel that they've lost control over their case and they don't have a say, and it may make them feel unimportant and that their voice isn't heard within the case, or they may even feel stressed that I don't think this will go well. I don't trust the lead plaintiff to, win this case for us, etc., etc. And for the courts, it means multiple individual cases with the same facts are not tying up court resources because they're just getting resolved as one, but it places less focus on individuals within the courtroom. So there's a risk of an incorrect verdict or incorrect decision because not everyone is being heard because there's only that one lead plaintiff going to trial against the defendant.